Welcome to Lake County, Minnesota, and there's no better way to start your open water fishing season than to get out here on these North Shore rivers and streams that flow into Lake Superior and chase springtime steelhead. You know, steelhead they're essentially a rainbow trout that get pretty big, 8, 9, 10, 11 pounds. They live out in Lake Superior the majority of their lives, but springtime, right now, April, May, June, they swim up these rivers that flow into Lake Superior and spawn. So us anglers can get out here, we can chase these fish. Put on some hiking boots, put on some waders, put some miles on. Lake County is definitely yours to explore and get out here and catch some gorgeous fish, right? There's a lot of big sense of adventure in this. You don't need a boat. It's something that everybody can do. Grab a rod, grab some bait, put on your waders and, just get out there. There's so much water, so much area to explore. It's surely a very, very fun time. Stick with us, it's gonna be a good one. All right, we have arrived to one of the fishing holes. Now, really, what we look for is kind of pools, pockets of deeper water. Out here on these rivers, all along the North Shore, there's lots of stretches that are shallow, fast-moving water that are pretty hard to fish, right? So really, what you want to look for and identify is spots where the river slows down, where there's not kind of that raging river noise. It sounds a little bit more peaceful. Well, that's going to be a pocket of deeper water where these steelhead are going to kind of set up in and relax, right? That's where they're going to spawn as well. So that's their main purpose of coming up these rivers is to spawn. So we've got a spot here, and we're gonna drift a bobber along here, and we'll kind of go over a couple different presentations that we can use to target these fish. But we have our St. Croix. This is a two-piece rod. It's an 8'6". 8'6" all the way up to like 11 feet is a good rod length. Now, there's no one right way to catch these fish. If you're comfortable with a fly rod, use a fly rod. If you're comfortable with a spinning rod, use a spinning rod. As a kind of my backbone is kind of walleye fishing, right? So I'm more comfortable with the spinning setup. That's what I prefer to use. So that's what we're going to rig up here today. All right, so what we have here is 12-pound test main line, and as you can see, this is a high vis. These trout can be pretty line shy at times, especially as spring progresses and your water levels decrease, your water clarity will increase. So you really got to pay attention to the gear and always, stay on the lighter side of things because these fish can be line shy. So what we're going to do is we have our main line here, but we're going to connect a kind of an 8-pound either mono or fluoro. So all we're going to do is just connect these two via an Albright knot. What that's going to do is just ensure that I have the pound test to fight these fish. They're big, they fight hard, especially when they get in the current. But down towards my hook, I'm going to have that kind of transparency where these fish aren't going to be spooked or startled by my fishing line. So there we have kind of our main line down to our leader. Now, in terms of baits for steelhead, you can use yarn, you can use waxworms, you can use spawn. Today we're going to use some spawn under a bobber. And again, whether you use a bobber or you kind of bounce a bait off bottom, it kind of depends on the area of the river that you're fishing, but this kind of sets up good for a bobber. So we're going to use some spawn underneath a bobber. There's nothing more exciting than seeing a bobber go down, especially when there's 5 to 10 pound trout pulling it under. So we're going to rig up one of these bobbers here. I'm not convinced that there's one right thing to use. It can, it varies depending on this. I always recommend people just use what you have confidence in, right? There's no one right setup or one exact right presentation that you have to use to catch a fish. I always say that no matter what species of fish you're going after. But we're gonna set this at about 5 to 6 feet deep. We're just gonna take our hook. I like a smaller hook, number 6. You can even go to a number 4 at times. But again, we wanna stay on the small side of things. And another rule to pay attention to on these streams and rivers is you cannot use a treble hook. So single hooks only. So that's just a number 6 Gamakatsu. We're going to tie this on. Okay, so there we have our bobber and our hook. Now we just need to put a couple weights on here, a couple split shots to get that to sink. Again, there's current in these rivers. You need some weight to help your bait stay down to where the level that these fish are at. So put 2 split shots on there. All right, there we go. And now it's time for our spawn bag. Now, to hook the spawn bag up, it's a pretty simple approach. All you do is take one of your bags and just hook it on there, just like so. And that's gonna dangle underneath our bobber. And again, we wanna let this float down with the current in these deeper pools, these deeper pockets of water. You always want your bobber to be moving, right? If it's in stagnant, stale water, you're likely not gonna get bit. You kinda want more of a reaction bite from these fish. You know, so just floating this down with the current in the river, hopefully it's gonna produce a fish for us. So let's get this in the water and see if we can catch one. One nice part about Lake County is if plan A doesn't pan out, if there's no fish going, hike on out, have a 5-minute drive to, you know, your second favorite river. So let's get after it. Here in Lake County, some paths are rugged, other paths are paved. That's the beauty of it. Yeah, no matter what terrain you're looking for, you can find it here. Gotta get them out of that current. Gotta get them out of the current. Oh, that's a big fish. That's a big fish. They have so much power. So much power. So much power. Oh, I can't net them. So much power. Come on, baby. There we go. Wow. That is an adrenaline rush. That is incredible. Your heart is just racing. That's what it's all about right there. Lake County, big Lake Superior steelhead up here in these rivers on Lake County. It's incredible. Let's take a look at this fish. This is a big hen, a really big hen. It's a female fish. She's going to be laying eggs here very shortly. That's what this is all about. Such a rewarding fish. You work so hard to catch a fish like this. You know, it's just so special. Just a natural fish out in Lake Superior. Come up here into these rivers in Lake County to spawn this time of year. It does not get much more fun than this. Let's get this fish back in the water. There she goes. That's incredible. You know, all along Lake County here, you have rivers such as the Knife, the Stewart's, the Gooseberry, and more, where you can come and catch fish like that, and it is just so rewarding. Such an incredible experience. That's awesome. Oh, that's a big one, dude. Beautiful. It's a nice fish, bud. There we go. We got a nice steelhead here, boys. It's a hen. You can tell by the head shape and the body shape.
Doesn't have as big as shoulders as a buck would or a male if it would, but super healthy. Looks like she's already probably spawned. Still got that nice shiny color to her. A little wrapped up here for a second. One sec here. Yeah, so the cool thing about these steelhead is, you know, they're born in the river much like a salmon and migrate down to the lake, in our case, not an ocean, but Lake Superior is right down the way here. And spend about 95% of their life in there. They come back in the spring, starting in year 2, and the North Shore specifically, and then run. And then they come up these little waterfalls and these runs and these rapids. And for the majority of these rivers, they're short, right? So they hit a barrier, they hit a point they can't go any further, like a waterfall. And so come spawning season, they run all the way up to the edge of these things, group up, and then once that water temp hits the right degree, they start spawning. I think it's this way. I think. Nope, it's the other way, for sure. Yeah, it's a pretty big fish. I think it's a buck. You can kind of tell by the jaw, but I might be wrong. It's just heavy. I haven't really been able to do a whole lot with it yet. Man, when these fish get fired up, it was weird. Like, he shot up probably 6 inches and smacked it. But then he just kind of sat there for a minute, and I wasn't sure if he was hooked or not, but I could see him just chewing on it. I'm like, I think he's still there. Haven't been really able to move him yet. I bet he's 27, 28 inches. Big fish. Yeah! That's a big hand, buddy. Wow. She's been in here a little bit. She's got her full spawning colors on. Just a nice, big, healthy hen. Crushed a fly. Had to switch things up with this clear, warm water. We weren't touching any bait. Just went to an unbaited fly and a couple of split shot in shallow water. And she moved for it and she clobbered the heck out of it. But just a beautiful colored up hen. Full spawning colors. She's ready to go. But man, what a battle some of these fish are. She's just a beaut. What a bruiser.
There's always some sort of adventure to find up here in Lake County. Just tons and tons of area, you know, to chase these steelhead. We're crossing rivers, we're hiking deep into the woods, hiking trails, you know, down steep banks. Like it's got a little physical attribute to it, which is something that I like as well. And kind of what's really special about this style of fishing is you don't need a big boat to do this, right? If you have a car, right? If you have wheels, driving up here to Lake County, grab a rod, you know, ideally a 8 to 11 foot spinning rod works, fly rods, and, you know, grab some waders, grab some hiking boots, set out here, you know, up along the shore and into these streams and rivers and tributaries that flow into Lake Superior. So these steelhead are a fish that live out in Lake Superior. And in the springtime like this, they run up these rivers to spawn. And that's when us anglers can get out here and chase them. So there's just so much water out here, so much beautiful scenery, and yeah, gorgeous fish that swim within. So it's just fun to hike around, spend a day out here in the woods in Lake County, and chase after some gorgeous fish.
Big male, shallow water again. It's exciting. Took a couple drifts, kind of got him to settle down a little bit, and he just smoked it. It's too big for my net, dude. That's a huge steelhead. Wow, that's a big fish. Oh, he smoked it, dude. Look at that. Look at that. It's a big, beautiful North Shore steelhead buck. Just a big dog. We're gonna get you back, buddy. You ready? That was a cool nail right there, you guys. You know, that's what the North Shore is all about, is we have such big fish because these rivers are so powerful and so fast. These fish are just built differently. So, I mean, a normal fish on the North Shore is a lot bigger than the stuff on the South Shore. They just have such steeper rivers to climb. And man, we get them like that and they're full spawning colors and upwards of 28, 29 inches. That's what it's all about.